everyone, it's Kristen. Welcome back to my homeschooling channel. I'm so excited to finally be sitting down and filming this video for you today. A lot of you have been asking what we're going to be using for this upcoming school year. We're at the end of July now pretty much, and I know a ton of you are in full-on homeschool planning mode to have everything prepped and ready for the fall. Or if you're like us, you might be getting started a little bit early, what some people would consider early. The schools around here start after Labor Day. Some of the private schools start sooner, but in our homeschool, I've just found that I really enjoy starting back in August because it is so hot where we live right now that we really can only be outside for very long, like in the early mornings or in the evening. So I just feel like if we're gonna be inside anyway, we might as well just start our school back. We all really enjoy the school. It hardly feels like school oftentimes, and we just have so much fun learning together. I think in part because of the curriculums and things that I have chosen and the ones that work so well for our family. So we're gonna be starting back in August, and I finally have all of my books and everything here, all except for one book that I'm missing. So I'm in like I said, full-on prep mode, getting all the schedules and things written out for the kids. So I am excited to share with you today what we are going to be using for this fall, the 2022-2023 school year. And just so you all know, I have a 4th grader. She's going into 4th grade, and then I have twin boys that have a birthday right on the edge of where our school system, says they need to go ahead and start school versus not. So theirs is a little more fluid and changing. I just say they're pretty much in 2nd grade, but they did some 2nd grade work last year, so maybe like 2nd/3rd, that kind of thing. I would say more on the 2nd grade level though. And then I also do have a toddler. She will be 4 in August. So I don't have any curriculum plans or anything for her yet. I don't know that I will. We might just do some organic learning, everyday life like we already do pretty much, maybe just a little bit more intentionally, teaching her letters and things like that. But last year, if you've been around here for very long, then you'll know that we used A Gentle Feast for our core curriculum, and I did a review. Let's see, I don't know if it was like an unboxing, but I shared all about it at the beginning or like in the summer of last year, 2021. And at the end of the school year, I did kind of a review on it, or like how it went for us. So if you haven't seen that video and you want to check it out, I will link it in the cards and then in the description box down below for you. But spoiler alert, we absolutely loved it. It was amazing. We, meaning me included, learned so much from all of these books. We enjoyed every single day sitting down together and learning. It hardly even felt like school, like I mentioned. It was just a beautiful time. And honestly, these last 2 months that we've taken off for the summer, I have missed it so much. I miss the connection with the kids. I miss learning together, and I love everything about it. So we are using A Gentle Feast for the 2nd year. This year's slightly different because I have a Form 2 student now and then 2 Form 1 students, which was pretty intimidating to me at first, but after looking into it, I think it's gonna be totally fine. And I think I'm even gonna have my Form 1 students jump in on some of the Form 2 activities and things. So I'll dive into all of that and share everything with you. So the way A Gentle Feast works, if you don't know, it is a Charlotte Mason inspired curriculum. So the way that they lay out the books and the subjects, everything about it is based on the Charlotte Mason style of home educating. So the first piece of our curriculum is morning time. It is something that we start off with in the morning, which you don't have to do it in the morning. It is called morning time, but you don't have to do that. We find that it works best that way. So we choose to buy their morning time packet. You can also just get a digital version on their website, but I am a physical copy person. I don't like using my computer. I try to avoid it if I can during school time. So the morning time is basically a plan that gives you daily Bible readings. It gives you a picture or composer study. So you alternate days every single day there's a Bible reading, and then one day you'll do a picture study or a composer study. One day you'll do a poetry recitation where they're working on memorizing a poem over a span of several weeks. Another day you'll do a poet study. So there's a poet for every term. And so they study, do a little like biography video or reading on the poet. And then for that whole term, we're reading pieces that poet wrote. And then on another day, there's fables and hero tales / biographies, which my kids really enjoyed that last year. I did too. And then another one is singing hymns. So they have that as doing that one day a week, but we usually do that most days. Just sing a hymn together. I feel like it's really special to teach the kids hymns, especially if you go to a church that doesn't sing hymns anymore. I feel like those are like such precious songs that should be carried on, and I want my children to know them because I grew up in a church that sang hymns. So, and our current church now does do some hymns, which we love. So that is kind of the pieces of morning time. There's a Bible memory passage for each term. So we work on that daily. And in our morning time, I like to utilize these menus, which you've probably seen before. I believe I got these from the Gentle Feast website. Then I made this morning time cover, which I have a few different options. I have them up in my Etsy shop as just a digital download if you're interested in that. But I like to keep the verse that we're working on memorizing in here, the hymn that we're working on, the poem that we're working on, and I just switch it out as needed. So everyone has their own. They can read it and follow along, which I feel like helps just kind of keep them engaged. So we really do enjoy using the menus in morning time. There were times last year where I didn't update it, especially when we were living in a camper. If you're new here, we lived in a camper for 6 months while we were building the house that we're in right now. If you want to follow, here's a little plug. If you want to follow any of our homesteading and that sort of thing, you can find us over on Generation Acres Farm. There's a whole YouTube channel there. I also have a website, generationacresfarm.com, and we're on Instagram at generationacres.farm. So if you want to follow any of that stuff, I'm a little more active over there than on this channel, although I hope to change that, but we're still just getting settled. We just moved in here in March, so we've been a little busy. So anyway, back to morning time. She lays it out week by week, the readings, what you're supposed to do each day, poet study, fable, all that stuff that I just read off to you. She breaks it down for you. For the picture studies, there are pictures in the back of the paintings and things like that. All of that's in here, all the poetry that you're learning, all that. So that's the morning time manual, a super important piece to our homeschooling day, which we love. And so let's dive into the main kind of core curriculum here. So we are doing the cycle 3. We did cycle 2 last year. I believe there are just 3 cycles. We skipped cycle 1 because we'd already done really early American history. So we jumped into cycle 2 last year. Here's cycle 3, which is the American 1800s, the American expansion, the Civil War, Reconstruction, and then for grades 4 through 12, they add in a little bit of British and world history from 1800 to 1900. So this one's called Reforms, Revolution, and Reconstruction. So I'm going to tell you everything that's included in this core curriculum. So the lady who wrote this curriculum, her name is Julie Ross. She breaks it down for you and gives you very clear instructions on how to incorporate each of these things into your day. She's got quotes from Charlotte Mason in here, so if you have any question about exactly how these things are supposed to be done, she has it all broken down for you, which is awesome. So she talks about morning time in here and that, that you can add that in. And then she calls this soup and salad, which is the language art. So every day there's copy work. You can choose to do her language arts or you can choose to do something different. I did mention in my end of the year review video that we didn't really care for the student language arts packets, and I think it was partly our fault because I wasn't super consistent with it because, as I mentioned, we were living in a camper and it was a little bit like survival mode and so I wasn't super consistent with it. I don't think I used it quite the way it was intended. So when I was researching language arts for this coming year, I was really leaning towards the good and the beautiful. which I've made videos about in the past. We've used them and loved them, and then we've also used them and not cared for them at all. And I was so close. Like, I was waiting for the level 2 language arts to come out, which I think was supposed to come out in July. I was like checking their website. I was about to buy it. And then I just like felt uneasy about it, and I just paused and was like, okay, what do I need to do? So I started digging into the language arts packet for A Gentle Feast again, looking at it, figuring out how to use it, you know, maybe what went wrong last year. And when it came down to it, I just could not pull the trigger on the Good and the Beautiful. I didn't feel good about it. I was worried about the overwhelm again that it caused for my boys and my daughter a little bit. So we're doing the student packets, language arts packet. So I have 2 for the Form 1 students. I'll give you a look inside of these. And then I also have a Form 2 one for my Form 2 student. And so I'll show you guys inside of those and let you see what those look like. So the copy work is included in the language arts pack. There's a weekly dictation. What else? Weekly composition, which is also here. Every single day there's reading or phonics, wherever your child is. If they're older, literature readings, things like that. Grammar is included in the language arts packet as well. I'll just read what's in here. It's weekly assignments in copy work, dictation, grammar/phonics, free writing, and drawing. So that's all included in the language arts packet. So also there's a weekly narration notebook where the kids keep a notebook every week. I would usually do it on Fridays, and because we do a 4-day school week, so Friday's kind of our break day, but I would do this because it's actually kind of a fun portion. So the kids all choose a chapter or a little bit about one of the books that we read earlier in the week. So for example, if we read Sarah Plain and Tall and they remember a passage from it and they would write that down in their notebook, or if they're younger, you can write it for them or type it up and they can copy it, whatever works. And then they would also draw a picture or paint a picture to kind of describe that goes along with whatever their narration was for that week. So that's kind of the soup and salad, she calls it. The main course, or the academic blocks, are history, geography, natural history, science. Science is for Form 2 and 3, but they're like family science lessons. So I think that's what I'm gonna have my Form 1 students jump in on, as long as it's not too difficult for them, but I don't think that it would be. So I'm gonna have them jump in on that. Let me see if I had any other notes. Citizenship is a part of it. They do Swedish drill or singing, which we haven't really incorporated in our homeschool yet. But citizenship, they don't have any for Form 1, but Form 2 they do. And they are just beginning to read about famous men and women and begin learning about U.S. civics, which I'm excited about. Foreign language is another part of it. So we did choose a foreign language for this year. We are going to be using Spanish by Cherry Dale Press, which is called Spanish with Miss Mason and Francois, I think is the name of it. Latin is another thing that they suggest that we haven't incorporated yet. Another thing is, she calls it the dessert tea time, which is poetry, read-alouds, handicrafts, nature study, drawing, that sort of thing. So she recommends that you kind of meet together, like cap off your school day in the afternoons with this fun stuff, which I would love to incorporate more of. We were a little all over the place last year and didn't get to. We did some handicrafts and nature study, and some read-alouds. But anyway, a more focused, more consistent thing is what I would like to incorporate this year. So that's what is included in the Gentle Feast curriculum. It's amazing. She gives so much instruction on how to do it and how to incorporate all these things into your homeschool. She also has an awesome Facebook groups over on Facebook for A Gentle Feast, and they are so helpful. If you have questions, there's so many wonderful ladies over there willing to help you, tell you where to find a book if you're having trouble finding it, that sort of thing. So all those things are included in this curriculum. So the way that it's done though is primarily, if you can't tell, through books. So these books that I have here are everything that we need for term 1. Some of these books will carry over into Forms 2 or maybe even Forms 2 and 3, just depending on how many chapters there are. Like, I don't know for sure, but Our Island Story is a really thick book, so I'm guessing that's going to cover more than just one term. At least that's the way it was last year. We had several that would carry over multiple terms. But it's a literature-based curriculum, so you're reading tons of books. Your children are reading books if they're able to read on their own, and you're reading lots of books to them. Now, don't let that overwhelm you. It totally overwhelmed me when I looked at the books last year that were coming in after I ordered them. I was like, how on earth are we going to read all of these? It's broken down, so you're literally just doing a tiny chunk each day, and it feels so good, and it's just amazing how much you can get through just by doing that. So a little, whether it's a chapter or just a few pages of a certain book each day, you're able to get through all of these in the time frame, of course, that she lays out in here, which is awesome. So she has her term 1, form 1 books. She's got all her book lists in this book here. You can also just do a digital copy of this if you wanted to. But I like to go through and mark up. I just mark right in this book where I got it from, how much it costs. If I couldn't find it, I make a note of that so I can make sure to keep checking back. I like to shop on thrift books, ABE books, beautiful, what is it called? Better World books. And then of course Amazon if I can't find those. Number one is always my library though, I should have said that. I always check my library first, but my library, honestly, these books are older, not as popular, which is part of what I love about it. But my library really does not have many of these books. Also, it's really nice to just have them on hand for future kids coming up through doing this, or just being able to go back to them and read them again if we want to or we need to. So literature-based, tons of books. I wanted to kind of stack these up here to show you kind of how many books there are. It does add up, but this core curriculum is not very expensive, so I find like it still works out very, very well considering how many subjects it covers. It's not a very expensive curriculum, although when you're adding all these books to your cart, you're gonna be like, ah! But when you think about how much you paid for the core curriculum, and if you try to, shop used books and that sort of thing, like most of these books were like $3 or $4 on thrift books, so not too bad. And we are filling our library with beautiful living books. So from here, we move into the schedule, which she has it all laid out. I'll show you that. There's Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, and it gives you each thing that they're supposed to do. And then you just break those things up. So some people like to just use this book and, you go to history, and on Monday, you're doing America First, Lewis and Clark, and then whenever you go, Thursday or Wednesday, whatever, day 2, that kind of thing. My preference is, which I believe I shared this last year, I like to have a little printout that I made, which, if you're interested in having this printout, I was going to tell you guys, let me know in the comments below, because I would gladly offer this for free. It's just like a little schedule graph thing. But I don't want to go through the effort of like figuring out a way to make it downloadable for you if you're not interested in it. So if you would like this, leave a comment down below and I'll figure out a way to set up an email automation or something where you can put in your email and it'll send it to you. But this is our schedule basically. So every Sunday evening, I would pull out my schedule and my main book and my morning time book, and I would go through and say, okay, for morning time, these are the scriptures or the Bible that we're reading. And this is the Bible memory verse that we're doing. This is we're doing the hymn on this day, the poetry recitation on this day, the artist, whatever. And I would fill those things in. And then moving down to history, I would write day 1, America First, Lewis and Clark. And then I would move over to, for our day 3 or, day 2 of history, I would write down America First, Pike Explorers, Arkansas, and so on like that. And so I would just fill it out. There's also a place where I can just write notes or, things to remember, things that, if we missed something this week somehow, I'll jot that down. And then when I go to fill out the next week's work, I'll make sure to move that over and say, make sure that you finish this part, whatever. Just kind of, I don't know. I just like having it on paper. Again, I like the physical. I like writing. I don't like typing. So that's how I schedule out our week, and I just do it 1 week at a time. That way I'm not scheduling out the whole year, and if we get behind, I'll get stressed out and it will make me feel bad. So I simply every Sunday come through, write it out. It takes like less than 5 minutes. It's no big deal. And I really loved the way that worked for us last year. One thing new that I am incorporating this year, or at least I'm going to try to, is I'm going to give the kids schedules every week as well. All 3 of my kids are now independent readers. 2 of them are super fluent and can read pretty much anything and everything. One of them is not far behind them, but still needs a little bit of help. But because of them being able to read really well, instead of each day me telling them, hey, Peter, you pull out Sarah Plain and Tall and read your chapter. Okay, Adeline, pull out Freedom Train and read your chapter. Okay, Thomas, pull, like that. I'm going to have their assignments written down on these pages. So I have 3 of them that I made, and these are also something that I could give you guys for free. I could figure out if you want them, leave me a comment. I could figure out a way to get them to you. But so each one just has their name and their homeschool assignments, and so each day they're going to do a language arts page. So they'll just pull out, my hope is that they will pull out their book, they'll see it right here, they'll pull out their language arts book and they will complete it. Of course, I'll be right there if they need my help, but my hope is that they'll kind of become a little more independent with it. Their literature, so they're each going to have a book that they're reading a chapter of or a portion of each day, so that will be written for them. Their natural history, their phonics, American history, arithmetic, geography, that kind of thing. Some of this stuff I am going to be reading to them, but for a lot of these things they're going to be reading on their own, which is great. So I'm going to go every Sunday and fill this out for them, so that way they will have this ready and they'll know exactly what they are supposed to do for the week. So I think that pretty much covers everything. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. I would love to know what you are using this year. If you have any questions, if there's anything that you want to see more of, need more details on, it's literally the point of putting these videos out there is for the community, and I absolutely love to hear from you. So please leave me a comment down below, and if the video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you want any of these schedules. And again, I hope it was helpful. I hope you guys are excited about the upcoming school year. I know I am. I just really appreciate you guys being here and watching these videos. So I hope you'll stick around for more homeschooling videos. I'll be talking about the math and other things that we are doing this year. So those videos are to come, so stay tuned. Again, I hope this was helpful to you, and I will see you in our next video. Bye.